Alrighty, I got a couple of things. I was just going to get the seed sprouter kit, but I got the microgreens kit as well. Sort of has a bit of a explanation of how to use this one on the back, and says there'll be a slip inside, like a detailed instructions inside, and they must have fell out of the bloody thing because there's nothing else in there except just the gear and a couple of seeds. Now, I played around once before. My mum told me how to do sprouts, but the seeds I got, I believe, were out of date. I'm sure a certain person could confirm this. They were mustard seeds. I'd spray water on them and they get like a blimmin' jelly, like a gelatine coating over the top of them. I got them from the reject shop, and I think they were severely out of date, and yeah, anyway, they weren't any good. It all went rotten. They would not even sprout at all. And I've never actually seen seeds that you spray water on and they just get a gel on the outside. So, but this works on a little bit of a different method to the way my mum was telling me, which probably would have worked, except it just failed colossally due to the crap seeds. It's always hard to do things one-handed. What you basically got is you fill this up. You sprinkle your seeds in the bottom, and there's sort of all these little grooves that they will hold in, and then you fill this up to the top of this little cap. Now what will happen is it'll actually drain out through there, because it's sort of a bit of a hole, and these are all like little bits that allows it to drain through a little hole there into the next one where you got a second lot. And I think you stagger them. You have one lot on the top, and then as that starts to grow, you grow a second lot on the bottom. Now before the second lot really gets up too high, you would have eaten this lot, put this one at the bottom, like wash it out properly, put it in the bottom, and, like use soapy water on the whole lot, put it in the bottom, throw some more seeds in, and these ones that aren't, are almost up to the top of the rim here, you put them on the top. And it's sort of like a system where you just sort of keep swapping. So that means I'm probably going to have to do some in the top and not do some in the bottom until several days later. But yeah, you just quickly fill it up to basically the top of your little cap there, and that should drain through and will be enough water for this tray, and then put water into that one, and you come back like 10 minutes later and you're supposed to pour the water out of this one here. Water it 2 to 3 times a day. A few more good things to guide me along, here. 18 to 24 degrees Celsius. Don't put it in the direct sunlight where the temperature could fluctuate. And a few bits and pieces. Also supposed to add a bit of vinegar and soak one of these in a bowl full of water with a bit of vinegar in it, just to kill any other muck. Yeah, so that's good. I'll give that a shot, and if it works, there's a place I used to get seeds from. Well, first of all, I can find some of my broccoli seeds and stuff and other things I know that are sproutable that I'm not going to use or are close to the use-by date, and throw them in. I'm not sure if you can do lettuce seeds. My experience when lettuce is too young, I know if it's too old, it's bitter anyway, because I have grown lettuce. I used to grow a lot of things on and off, especially because I had a lot of seedlings that were spare from my job when I worked at the nursery that were just going to go into a bloody big pile and basically get used as second-grade potting mix sold by actually a landscaping company at Buy It All office, I believe. out on that big stack of bloomin' waste potting mix. There used to be fully grown tomato plants with tomatoes on, and basil, and bloomin' silver beet, and cabbages, and coriander, and you friggin' name it. And I'd be out there grabbing a good heap of bloomin' tomatoes. Sometimes I'd go out there to tip some out of a bin of the thing. I'd be out there for 5 minutes eating bloody tomatoes before I'd even tip the thing off. Anyway, like I said, no instructions of this thing, just a few seed packets in there. Supposed to put a single ply of toilet paper, tissue paper, whatever, over the top of this, seeds on, almost fill your container, clear container up, within, a quarter inch or whatever of where this sits. You got to sort of flick that out. I won't do that. And yeah, put your tissue paper on, spray that, seeds on, spray that, and cover in foil. And the seeds will germinate, and the idea is that the little roots should go down and touch the water in your clear tray here. And by the time they start to do that, then you can take the foil off, and they will grow properly. And you're supposed to leave these to the point that they don't just get the first leaves and that's it. They actually go ahead and get the, like your first leaves, your dicotyledon or whatever, and then go and get your first true leaves come out. So they get a lot more advanced than sprouts, and then you're supposed to trim them off with scissors and leave your, seeds and your roots and your tissue paper on here, which you obviously take off, throw out, and or compost or whatever, and clean it all out again and have a second run. This place I can get. They're a seed company that sells normal seeds, but they also sell sprouting seeds, and they will sell you ones like 1 kilo bags of it. Now, this only uses either 1 or 2 gram seeds, like seed packets. These use 5 grams of seeds per thing. I think you could probably just do it by eye anyway. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Not much of a great garden attempt, I know. I may still go ahead and plant some tomatoes, but if I'm going to get out and socialise and find a girl, I can't be here piss-farting around too much doing stuff. The fact of the matter is I've only got 60-something odd trees to flame and water every day, along with 12 grapevines, regardless of anything else. So yeah, it's like every summer. You tend to find you spend about an hour and a half a day just watering plants, and that's ones that are already in the ground. I have considered, and I probably should, they're not that expensive, getting a water pump. And I've got a big quarter-inch line that'll go right up amongst my trees that I bought. It's like 80 metres of line, but I just never got the flow out the end. So I may have to go ahead and, get a little solar system, maybe the little one in the box I've got there with the blue-sealed battery, and go buy myself another 12-volt pump and make things a little bit easier. Because I'm a bit over this business of walking around with watering cans. But having said that, this was the last year I intended to water the trees with cans, and I didn't think it was worth buying a pump. But I can actually get 4 litre a minute 12-volt pumps for $50. So yeah, and they actually look like proper RV water pumps. But anyway, there we go. Alrighty. I'll show you the microgreens kit in a minute. Lost the blasted instruction slip for that. A bit pissed off. It must have slipped out of the box or something. I never got one. So I'm going on limited instructions written on the back of the box, not the detailed instructions I was supposed to get. These are actually going all right, hon. Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see one about there. And green, coming out with its little leaves. No, this isn't very good footage. What's new? But yeah, those have all popped out their seeds, the roots, as you might be able to make out. That little thing there, which is the same as that thing there, I think is a bell siphon. I've seen one before, a bigger one, but it was confusing the shit out of me how it worked. I'm not even going to try to explain something I don't know. But basically, you've got a lot of grooves in the bottom of this stuff that try and hold the seeds, although as I pour water in, you've got to fill it above the bell siphon before it'll even start emptying out, and sometimes it won't, and you've got to whack your finger on the bottom to sort of undo the airlock or whatever the hell's wrong with it before it'll empty out. Into the second one, which you got a second lot of sprouts, and I'll put some of those in before long because your top ones are going to grow big, and as your other ones are only growing part the way, and then you harvest those, put some new, clean it out properly, put some new sprouts in them, and this one goes to the top, and the one with the new sprouts, or your bare seeds, goes to the bottom. So the ones in here don't get stunted, as these ones are going above. These ones haven't quite made it up yet. But anyway, there's something I've seen. It's basically a bloke who, I can get a 12-volt timer, and I don't know how good or bad it is or isn't. And instead of using, this other bloke had one that had a sprayer, and it would turn on with a sprayer and then turn off. And it would do this about every 2 hours, non-stop. All he ever had to do was harvest the seeds, clean the thing out a bit, put some new seeds in, and then sit it there and just forget about it and come back 10 days later and just harvest again. I would love to have something like that. And if I had a small enough hole or something like that, I'd probably want a larger piece of mesh that then goes in a funnel to a smaller hole, just to make sure that that small hole didn't get one seed over it and block it up and the whole lot overflowed out the top. But I could probably do a similar thing. I'm not too sure how good these 12-volt timers are that I can buy. I could use one of these. I think that is out of the Peugeot, but that's a little water pump. And here's another one. This one's out of the Nissan. And same thing again. These are just little washer pumps. And yeah, that might be of great help to make an automated sprouter. And well, there's a way that I can actually heat the bottom, because a lot of these, I believe, sprout from heat more so than light. And I might be able to keep them warm in the winter a certain way and do sprouts in the winter. As I said in a weekly update, so I can get 1 kilo or 2.2 pound bags of reject seeds, so to speak, from a seed company that are still good to use as sprouts, and I might buy some of those on a regular basis. Before I go to the microgreens kit, I'll just say that I tried once before to do sprouts using one of those big glass jars sitting out there, and it would not bloody work. Wouldn't work. And it turned out the seeds were actually mustard, the same as these ones are, but they'd get this clear gel over the outside of them. And I mean, it was like just a layer of this clear jelly shit. And then they just go rotten, and that was it. That's all I could manage. And it turns out the seeds were far, far out of date, and I bought them from a place called the Reject Shop, which also could account for something. And well, they were just shit seeds. I couldn't understand how I could grow 27 cherry tomato plants from seed, yet I couldn't get bloody sprouts to sprout.
so I could eat them, even though I could grow full-size plants from seed. And yeah, it was just shit seeds. You know, that's what happens when you get things on the cheap. Sometimes they're stuffed when you get them. Anyway, microgreens kit. Like I said, only going off very limited stuff written on the back of the box. You might be able to see. This is more or less like the Kratky method. We've got a clear thing there. I'm supposed to have filled that up with water. It doesn't quite matter just yet. And what's basically plastic mesh. And then I used to think, how the hell do they do all this Kratky stuff without the seeds just going plunk and just falling straight through the mesh? I mean, they're big enough holes. Tissue paper, 1 ply, and you lay it down. That's, oh shit, what is it? Red Russian kale, and which is your little brown ones, of course, because it's a brassica. And your other pinky looking ones there, red amaranth, I believe. And yeah, this works really well, especially with the foil over it to keep the moisture in. And the idea is that those roots will break through that tissue paper and then sort of be basically acting like Kratky hydroponics in the little, I'll lift it up a bit, little plastic tank below. Holy smoke! I didn't even realise that. Maybe I better put water in sooner rather than later. Holy smoke, I never even seen that. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to and I've got no water in there. Ah! Anyway, after this video I'll have to top it up through the little hole. That is working better than I knew. I never looked underneath. I just leave the foil on and give it a spray and put the foil back down again. Yeah, and the idea is these grow bigger than those. These get their first true leaves. You get your dicotyledons, or however the hell you say it, which are your two little, I always used to call them bud leaves, when they first break out, because I used to see a lot of that stuff going on when I worked at the nursery. And then you get your true leaves, and once these get their first two true leaves, then you harvest them. But I really didn't realise that was doing what I was supposed to. Quicker than I expected. I didn't even think the roots had got through the tissue paper, but I am definitely wrong. So there we go.